Nightwing 130, legacy number 317. Dan Waters writing with Dexter Soy on the art. So, yeah, obviously we set up the Nightwing Prime stuff at the end of the last arc. This issue doesn't get to that immediately. We kind of just start off with kind of, Nightwing in his city. Things are bubbling over, right? And he's a bit stressed because he knows that all this stuff with the super high-tech police and spheric solutions and all that stuff's going on. And he's trying to let the gangs know not to act out and not to get into things. And he goes to give a warning to the people in charge, and leaves a big. He throws a Nightwing batarang, but it cracks the window in such a way that it makes a big Nightwing logo in the glass, which I just thought was a nice touch in the art. I was really enjoying those opening few pages.
Soy's having fun, and again, he is Bruce's son, right? It's not biological, but he was raised by Batman. He knows how to send a message.
Yeah.
So I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, specifically it's the guy that's trying to become mayor who's got the corrupt background that he goes and does this message to. So yeah, we see one of the gangs are injecting themselves with stuff to turn into, it's part Man-Bat, part Venom or something. I think Nightwing deduces based on what he sees. And he goes in to try and de-escalate that. Big fight sequence, gorgeous art. And then the ending of this, of course, is where the Nightwing Prime stuff comes in, because all of a sudden someone swoops in and takes care of some of this stuff and is floating above Nightwing at the end. Again, really great art. I love that panel of Nightwing in silhouette above Nightwing, Nightwing Prime's in silhouette, above Nightwing.
Yes.
And it's kind of really setting this up. And very quickly, as Nightwing tries to chase off on the rooftops, all of a sudden, Batman shows up. And then when Nightwing turns around, it's not just Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and Martian Manhunter are also there, because hey, there's a Kryptonian power level character all of a sudden in Bloodhaven. It's time to have a chat about this. And I actually loved this conversation because it kind of did this thing where, okay, we have to step in and ask about this, but when Nightwing says, this is serious, he's not actually Kryptonian, it's a fifth dimension thing, don't worry about that side of it, but he's actually a scared young kid. If I need help, I'll call you guys, but I want to try and handle this myself. And Superman immediately just goes, that's good enough for me. You know where we are if you need us. But I love that. I love that Dick's got the sway with all of these characters for them to let him handle this. It's good stuff.
And I like that when Superman tells him, he's like, when I was his age, that's where I started to get my powers developing, and I understand how much of a time it is, but I wish I had someone around me to help me through it. So there's that aspect too, that he knows that Dick is going to do the right thing, and talk this boy down. So yeah, it is. He has the confidence from the heavy hitters of the Justice League. In Martian Manhunter showing up there too. I was like, oh yeah, they brought the big guns because they don't know what this kid can do.
Yeah.
So
there's a little tease as well as they're leaving through the boom tube at the end, where Jean turns around and he's like, "Wait a minute," and Wonder was like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I thought I saw." Nothing. And I love that because for a second I was like, wait, what's he talking about? What's he hinting at? And then I realized, oh, this is the Cirque du Sin stuff. This is the Zanny influence that he's sensing. But brushing off because he doesn't really know what it is.
It is so Lovecraftian in that, where there's just this heaviness that Jean might not be able to see it, but he can sense it, and he's like, oh, it's nothing. And you're like, oh, we were so close.
Yeah.
But there's just that build to anticipation. So,
I love that I didn't get it immediately. And then Nightwing and Batman have a little father-son kind of moment, and Batman's like, hey, Damien's been asking when you're coming back to Gotham to visit. And he's like, oh, I've got some stuff to take care of, but I'll be back as soon as I can. And he's like, oh, he'll be pleased to hear that. So it's just a nice little Batman Dick Grayson moment at the end.
Yeah.
So Nightwing goes and finds Nightwing Prime because he knows that he'll visit his brother's grave the next day. So he goes, and kind of surprising developments here where Nightwing Prime, or the boy really, is like, I've kind of realized that, I'm kind of scared of hurting people with all these powers. So maybe I should give these up, right? And he's like, yeah, you've got a little thing in a canister here, a little like cure, it's a little fifth dimension thing, you know.
Yeah, fifth dimension soup.
Yeah,
as he called it.
This will fix you right up and make you normal again. And he's like, yeah, like I thought I could do good with these powers, but I'm constantly scared that I'm going to hurt someone, and maybe this is too much pressure to take. Blah 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 blah. So he's going to take it. Like he's actually like it's not even going to take that much convincing. The kid's ready to turn back to normal, but just before he's going to do it, he starts talking about like all the things that he thought he could do, like he could help, he could make things better, and you know he could be a hero. He doesn't want to be a problem for Nightwing. He doesn't want to be a burden to Nightwing with all these powers. And Nightwing just takes a moment at the end, and they're in the rain. It's all atmospheric, and he sort of puts his hand on his arm as he's about to drink this thing, and he's like, "Wait, you're going to need trained." And he's basically like you want to do the right thing with these powers. I shouldn't stop you from doing that. I should teach you how to use them properly. Because fundamentally, as much as he's got all these powers, which makes it a little bit more dangerous and tougher in terms of like a control way, this kid's the age that Dick was, roughly, when he became Robin. So Dick should understand this kid wanting to do something, because Dick lost his parents and he had this energy inside him, and Batman helped him channel it. Should Dick be like saying to this kid, no, you can't be this? Or should he be helping him become what he once did and like be there for him and help him channel it in a way that's healthy and so on? Now, it might backfire if this kid's got a temper later on, because you know, if Dick Grayson at 14 threw a temper, it's like not a huge deal. Like, you know, send him to his room. Like
he's backflipping out of the room with the grace of, you know, a dancer. You know, this kid's putting a hole in the roof. Like, you know,
this kid might like burn down half the city because he gets unleashed.
But yeah, I do like the fact that Dick, you know, is the one's like, no, don't do it. You know, it's gonna take training, and he's meeting this kid where he's at, right? Where he's given the kid agency, right? He's not just doing what Nightwing wants him to do. So I like that a lot, because that again, that is in line with, you know, what happened with Dick and Bruce giving him agency and whatever. And this is just amplified because the kid's got Kryptonian powers.
Yeah, no, I like that pivot, and I love the way this paid off in the writing, because at the start of the issue, the narration was like, oh, this is what I was afraid of, and he starts talking about the city and the corruption and so on, and how everything that they've done to like try and bring the city around with good people in place, and you know, and the big roles is kind of been eroded now that his sister's been kind of, you know, run against, and you know, everything that's been happening. But here, when he makes this choice to sort of say, no, I'll train you instead, kid, he says, this is what I was scared of. That line comes back. It's this idea that, oh, I was scared of, like, you know, that I would take this burden on. I was scared that this kid would convince me that you know, I love the changing context of that line. But, you know, it's a fun little bit. You know, I was scared that Bryce would make a good point. That's the kid's name that I obviously did not remember. That he taught me into letting them try to be a superhero, because it would, you know, it would basically play on his feelings. It would tug on his heartstrings. But anyway, as he's hugging Bryce, right? He's hugging or I keep saying Superboy Prime, Nightwing Prime. He's hugging Nightwing Prime. The panels go close in to Nightwing's eye, like the white eye, and he's like his mask. And when you get close up, you just get this creepy ass reflection in the eye of the Zanny, looking demented, like, yes, this is all part of the plan for Nightwing to become a soldier of the Cirque du Soleil. And like, is this like him recruiting for his circus? Like, not that Nightwing knows he's doing that, but this is what the Zanny wants him to do, kind of thing.
It's like the pieces are falling into place for Zanny.
Yeah, because Nightwing says in his narration, the sense that something just outside my periphery is evil. Like, yeah, just outside of your field of view.
Well, because Nightwing Prime had said something like that to Dick, where he goes, I just feel like something wicked this way comes. And then Nightwing repeats that here with, he goes, you know, I have this ache in the pit of my gut, the sense that something is outside my periphery. So they're both feeling it. Right, it's almost like something's trying to tell them, you know, no, return things to normal. But you know, Nightwing's just trying to trust his gut, even though there's an ache there. You know?
But it's not this physical threat that's coming. It's this sort of unknown kind of force almost. Like it's kind of weird. And the final page, which is after this, is a separate scene of these two kids that are in their bedroom, and they're being drawn, because like basically they're talking about how like the boy of the two, there's a boy and a girl, and the boy keeps like having this dream of something, right? Something that he's been drawn to, and it's keeping him up. And at the end, you just sort of see them look out the window, and there's a big top. So there's this idea that the Cirque du Soleil's drawing people in, and the kid notably has Nightwing posters around. So it's almost like people who like Nightwing, like people who are fans of Nightwing, who are drawn to Nightwing, are now being roped into this like zany Cirque du Soleil stuff.
Go running off to join the circus,
which is extremely malicious, because you're kind of using the goodwill that Nightwing's built up in people and manipulating that into something that's going to pull them into something sinister, which is really perverse. It's, you know, I love it. I love this villain. This is a really cool villain that Dan Waters has cooked up.
Yes, and you said kind of, but no, it definitely is malicious. He's doing this. He's corrupting the youth, right? Like,
that's just my way of speaking. That's not
gotcha.
anything else.
So, but yeah, seeing that big circus tent outside, and it's black and white, and it's the Zani's colors, right, that we've seen, and you know, the kid asks, or the sister asks, what would Nightwing do? Even using that to manipulate him to go out and check it out. So
yeah, it's so,
man, no,
this is such a tight issue, because it like the first third of it sets up the status quo in the city and everything going on with that side of things, and then it gets into the Nightwing Prime stuff, and what do we do about that? And like we get all this good character stuff with the Justice League talking to Dick, and then the payoff, which we've been building up to since that stuff was brought up in the issue, is like what Dick decides to do with Nightwing Prime, which is this kind of heartwarming, different direction than what we thought it was going to be. You know, it's a good circumvention that makes sense given who the characters are, and then that leads into the sinister tease of the villain of the arc, and like, you know, so this issue just, it hit all the points, like it hit everything it needed to do, but it feels super focused the entire time. It flows really well. Like, this is just really solidly crafted and put together in a way where, you know, it doesn't feel like it's jumping to B plots and C plots to set things up, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's what a lot of books would do. This just feels like it naturally rolls on through. And it's only that last page with the two kids that's separate from everything else. Everything else has Nightwing in it. Everything else flows through him until that last page, where we cut to like innocent children who are going to be pulled into this. So, great stuff. Well,
and I also like that the last two issues, right? It was two or three, where he was dealing with Nightmite and that whole thing in Titan's Tower. 3
issues, I think. Yeah.
3. Okay. I like how that took a break from the Zani stuff, so it wasn't right there in our forefront. So it can actually be pushed to our own periphery, right? And then we get reminded of it slowly as we get further into the issue. So again, it's just some like really craftful writing, right? Like he's taking his time. I don't feel nothing's rushed. So
it's
man,
honestly impressive that, I mean, it's a bit bold to say that I think this run could rival Taylor's run already, but I think as far as villains go, I think the Zani does have I think I like the Zani more than Heartless now. Yeah. I mean, we'll see how it sticks to landing. It could change, but like right now I feel there's more of an imposing threat.
Yeah, and I feel like they're both attacking Nightwing at his strongest point, right? For Heartless, it was the concept of his heart, and now he's kind of the heart of the DCU, right? He's central to kind of everybody. I mean, look at the way the Justice League comes to him to talk in this issue. Right. With the Zani, though, it's more of like his spirit of, you know, his youth, and that, you know, I don't want to say the circus aspect, right? But just like that daredevil nature of his, like kind of almost like a recklessness, like this useful recklessness. And here I feel like it's almost been weaponized against him by allowing Bryce to make that decision. You know, like it's kind of what could go wrong? It's like, oh no, a whole lot. So
yeah, I feel like the disaster that's going to happen is probably going to have something to do with the Zani's influence on Bryce. I feel like that's where, like, it's because if he's roping in these other kids, and technically Bryce is still a child, even though he doesn't look like one now, I suspect that's where the tragedy of like where his powers are going to be used by something bad kind of thing is going to come in. But we'll see. I mean, it's a super intriguing story. Character writing's on point. DEXTER SOY's art's always gorgeous. You know, so I have very little to complain about with this. Nightwing's on its second great run in a row. We had the Taylor run, now we've got the Dan Waters run, and both are
spoiled.
Incredibly high standard, yes. Yes, the caliber of Dick that we have been getting recently has been bulging in quality.
God damn.
What are you giving Nightwing 130, Matt?
I'm gonna give this a 9.
Yeah, I think I'm there with you. I'm almost tempted to go 9.5, honestly. It's kind of like a teetering on that that level. But I'll say 9 out of 10. I'll be a little reserved. But excellent stuff. Loved it as per usual.